Hi, you.
Hello.
How are we?
I'm good. I'm good. How are we?
Mm, Fine, thank you. Kid
Yes.
free. The house is quiet.
Well, should welcome to Parent Plug-in tonight. My name's Kemi, and this is
Nalini.
we're from the Gifted, and tonight we are talking about therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Gift. So you may have seen our Kerry Washington post, which talks about where she talks about therapy being a gift. And I think the post breaks the stigma of getting support for our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it it makes it more acceptable. The way that I interpreted what she'd said, it's like the equivalent of going to the gym. We go to the gym to look after our body, to keep our body in shape. So why wouldn't we have therapy to keep our mind in shape?
Okay, I totally agree because I'm a big fan of therapy myself. And yeah, um, I think everybody should go have therapy at some point in their life.
Mm-hmm.
A great way of getting a different perspective. Um, Comparing it to the gym, however,
Mm-hmm.
always had a place of comfort. You know, everyone's familiar with the gym, right? The gym's never had a stigma attached to it.
Yeah, you don't go to the gym because there's something wrong with you.
That, that's right. Yeah, you go to the gym because you want to get fit, you want to look good, you want to get your six pack, you've got ambition, you know, you've got your body goals kind of thing, right? Um, but whereas therapy, um, has always had a bad reputation because there's something wrong with you. You're mentally unstable if you go get therapy.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
I can imagine that if you maybe for an old, I wouldn't say like my peers, but I would say for some older generation, it might be a case of you're having therapy. The next question that I would expect to follow from some people would be, "What's wrong? Why?"
that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, it's not even just old people. I think even people in this day and age, if you've grown up in a society that doesn't accept therapy, you're going to be confined to those thought processes as well. Like, there's nothing wrong with me.
Mm,
It's okay for me to pop some pills, but no, there's nothing
mm,
wrong with me. I don't need to see anybody. Don't need to talk to anybody.
yeah.
Uh,
So my next thing of question is, okay, we can speak about it from an adult perspective of having therapy. What about our children? We don't, if we were going to take the idea that therapy isn't, it's not about being, you need it.
mm,
It could be a prevention is better than a
mm,
cure. It
mm,
could be let's get the support before you need the support.
mm.
Um, and I suppose we can take that approach more so when we're adults. We
Mm.
tend, but what about for children and young people?
Uh, Again, it comes from their adults' understanding of therapy. So mine know
Mm,
um, that I see my therapist. I have done for so many years, and I share that with my kids. I'm like, I'm gonna go see my therapist today. You know,
it's like a tree, isn't it? It's like, you
is. You know, for me, it is like even now. I'm like thinking, damn, I should message her. I need to get in touch with her. I need to just run this past her, like get her to give me a different perspective on it. But I think for me, because my perspective of it is different, it is you know, it's building a relationship with a stranger that has the ability to give you a different perspective on something that is so cloudy in your head, right? So it's like somebody coming in and moving away the clouds and, you know, shining some light, the sun through those
Yeah.
clouds, saying, look, it looks different this way. Just think about it this way. Do you know, I know I make it sound airy fairy, but it really is that. But I think, I don't know for me, Kemi, and I don't know about you, right? We all have people that we speak to. Is therapy more about when you understand your emotions? Is it easier to connect with somebody and um, express yourself?
Okay.
Right. So it's a bit of that. So for me, it was all about, right, I understand my emotions. I just need someone to break it down
Yeah.
for me. Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, I know going to see a therapist is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm not emotionally connected, I think that's where you would find people having the struggle of the need for therapist. That makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you frozen?
No. Oh, why? No.
You frozen? That was it.
It's a better side.
You see. So I think, yeah, well, as you know, we did a butterfly program in schools,
Mm,
and it's not therapy because we're not
no.
mental health practitioners, but I think it can be perceived as um, you've been referred to this program because you have a need has been identified. But rather than it's actually a preventative program.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris has a question or a predicament even, and I would like, yeah, Chris, you're welcome to come on if you want to come on, or you can post the question in the chat. So I'm going to send you an invite. Yeah, so as I was saying that on the program, we treat it as more of a preventative program,
Mm,
and it's we can provide the support and the insights before whatever it is that might be niggling or trickling becomes a problem.
mm-hmm.
So, um, what is it about that? Why do you think it might be that some parents feel that? What does he say? What's he said? He's in the gym. Okay, Chris, tell us what your predicament is whilst you're in the gym. So he's like, we don't want him on there while he's in the gym. Well, I don't know about that, but hey, we'll take his judgment if he's saying no.
Yeah, that's fine. Just share your thoughts. Yeah, go on. You were saying so.
So, what is it, do you think, that makes parents kind of look at interventions that might be available for their children and kind of decide to I don't want, for want of a better word, block that provision, resist it, decline it?
Okay. Okay, so it could be their lack of understanding. So again, their lack of emotional understanding of themselves, their lack of power. So even if that child goes and gets
Mm-hmm.
help, I can't do anything to change anything,
Yeah.
right? I've had an adult actually say that to me in the past, and this person actually said to me, she said, "What's the point of me going and getting help when I've got to come back to this nonsense anyway?"
Right.
Right?
Oh,
People view it like that. Um,
like maybe what is it that they don't expect or anticipate there's going to be any change for the better?
exactly. right? But what people, I think the lack of understanding comes in is where it comes in is the intervention is not to change your situation. The intervention is there to change your
Yeah,
mindset.
absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So even with all the work that we do, and even though our time with the young people is limited and we can only do so much,
Mm,
we're there for them to be seen and heard.
mm,
Right? We go in with the mindset of, right, I'm coming in, I'm going to work with you to enable you to have the willpower to pick yourself up.
yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, the star of the show is you,
Mm,
me.
yeah. And the willpower is really important. I think it's a really important word. Like I would say, we empower the young person as well.
Mm,
But there's sometimes when I feel like you said, it's about being seen and heard. And there are times when they don't feel that they've been seen and they don't feel that they're being listened to.
mm,
And it's helping them to find their voice again, that they can articulate what it is they're feeling, what is impacting their behavior, their moods, their emotion, identifying what those
mm,
triggers are, thinking about what the things that's going to give them that boost. And sometimes it could be as simple as, do you realize that you're not giving yourself enough
mm,
sleep? That important meal in the morning that you deprive yourself of, which is breakfast, because you don't have enough
mm,
time, is probably it's probably what is holding you back for the rest of the day when you can't concentrate,
mm,
irritated, or when your energy dips and you just lose all enthusiasm for school, work, and so
mm,
on. Would just be fixed by, in the morning, having a slice of toast, having a small bowl of porridge,
mm.
bowl of a pot of yogurt. Now I can't. I'm going to go really close to the screen to read what Chris is saying, or you could do that.
Okay, wait. Okay. So I'm a child counselor and a well-being practitioner. I'm almost 52 and recently went through a bad spell. Long story. I feel like I had to go through this recent episode for many reasons, which is, yeah, true. I discovered something about myself
Mm,
that I could have found out years ago, or that I could have found out a known condition. Okay, I desperately want to on get back on stage and tell young people all the profound lessons I have learnt. Okay, the predicament a counselor shouldn't disclose too much about themselves. Yes, I understand. I might compromise my position, but hearing others' stories are so powerful. Absolutely. I, yeah, as a counselor with a client, one on one, yes, you can't, yes, you are breaking rules, I guess. But on stage, on a platform like this, I don't think you have any worries. You shouldn't, you're more than welcome to come and share a story like that. I think, Kemi, what do
yeah,
you think?
I think so. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like my therapist has divulged a little bit of himself. I get quite a few stories from that, and then I have to remember, come on, Kevin, this is like your show. Don't ask too many questions. Like, I'm like really interested and invested, and then I remember like time is money.
Literally.
But on a more serious, yeah, I think assemblies is a good place to share your stories, because you're not there as a counselor. You're there as somebody who is sharing a bit of yourself. And I also think, from what Chris has said, is that we go through our struggles in life. Wait for this. This is the poetic part, I think. We go through our struggles in life, and those struggles can become the gift that we offer to others, just through
Absolutely.
being open and sharing that part of ourselves, bit of our past, that bit of our triumph and our victory, that we were able to overcome that challenge. And we can share how we did it, or even the insights, the things that we learned from it. Because these things, I think that these trials come to make us stronger.
He's ready to join us.
He's ready to join us.
Said I'm ready to join.
Chris has been with us for ages, like since we first started Parent Plugging, or when it was the Fatherhood Project. He was, he's been loyal. So we'd love to have Chris on board. So Chris, we're going to go to our DMs later, and we'll get some more information from we'll get some contacts, and we'll take this offline. But yeah, I think it's assemblies is a really good place to start in terms of sharing stories. And then it gives those that feel like, you know what, I want a little bit more. I feel I can resonate, that resonates with me, and I recognize my need for just a little bit of support. So we were mentioning this today, wasn't it, that we had these lists of questions that says tick, tick, tick box. And then and it could be questions like, oh, do you find yourself struggling to concentrate? Do you switch off? Do you think, are you often forgetful? And all these kind of things. And it's never that we're trying to make a diagnosis for it, but it will point them to the point of, like, if you're finding that you're ticking a lot of these boxes, that is a sign. That could be a sign that you ought to get some extra support.
He said he's ready to join the chat.
Yeah, that's what he meant.
Yeah, that's what he meant.
Sorry.
I'm sure he'd want to do that later anyway, but right now he just wants to chat with us.
So yeah, and Andrea's here as well. I'm not sure if she'll be keen to join us, but she's also joined our show. Hi, Andrea, and hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's been a while. So happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys.
How are you?
Yeah. It has been a while. I've been in. Oops, the light's gone off. I've been in what I can only describe as it's like a dream. It's been a
dream.
Yeah, no, it's been it's to do with stuff that I've experienced in the past, but it's been like a blur, a proper fog. So many things have happened, but all for a reason, and it's really, really long, but all stuff that's gonna serve me really, really well. It's almost like I'm discovering, dare I say, I'm discovering my life's work. Just when you think you've got it sussed, just when you think you got it sussed, it's like something happens, but it's that predicament. I did a bit of stand-up comedy a long time ago, and interestingly, I started doing stand-up at the same time as I had a real enlightening moment through meditation practice. And with that, I decided I don't want to be a stand-up comedian, because I'll be out at night, and I want to see my children go to bed every night. I want to be there. So, but my passion for it, whether it's as a survival tool, my only way of fitting in as a youngster was through comedy. I'm quite funny,
I can see that. Imagine that. Not that I can see that.
But the thing is, I've cried in front of people, and I don't choose easy. I'll put myself in role plays when I'm at college, and I'll tell people what I think. So I almost feel like I deserve to be able to laugh at things and laugh at myself now, because I've shown both sides, right? I've shown both sides. Now I've become a child therapist because of my reasons, but I really do see myself now on stage and using the ability to laugh at all of the difficult things Interestingly enough, I stumbled across a workshop last week in central London in an arts therapy centre, where with delivered by doctors, psychiatrists who have basically found a concept. It's not a new concept where they use humour as an art form. It's called provocative therapy, right? And I was like, why didn't anyone tell me about that before? Because it's the angle, right? And all it does is it deals with people's sub personalities. Once there's a big poster on the wall, right? And this is what I believe every therapist, anyone that works with children or anyone that works with anyone should do. And it says, as long as you've got warmth in your heart, yeah, a clean heart and a twinkle in your eye, you can get away with anything, right? You can get away with anything, right? And I found myself that's what I've been doing. The people that I work with, especially the children, end up trusting me, and I can push the boundaries a little bit. Now it feels like everything that I ever experienced has got a lesson behind it, and I'm just trying to find a way of making it sellable to schools, because you know what it's like. Schools, how's that going to improve their exams? How's that going to improve? So I'm trying to put that together, and yeah, it's just I I don't know what it is. It's like it's written, it's destiny. I had to stumble, and you know what else? This is the most profound thing. Sorry, I saw you guys. I've seen you guys go live recently, and I didn't jump on, and I thought I'm doing it tonight because I went through some horrific things, like experiences from when I was really young, and I used to call them it, like I was being possessed, because once in a while it would come round and it would take over my life. It was like the anxiety and just it was mad, right? And the last time I had it was 2006, and then I had a sniff of it this time recently, and then I was doing my searching, and all of a sudden I came across a YouTube video, and there's young guys talking about this condition. It's out there. It's a known thing, and they're naming every single symptom that I ever had from 9 years old, and I'm nearly 52. And I remember thinking, first of all, yes, I'm not alone. It's all the theories I've learned, all the lectures, all the psychotherapists, all the people that I've spent time around, and no one's ever suggested that it's this thing. But what does that suggest? That suggests that for how many people out there is the solution so close? It's there. It's there. It's in. It could be in your pocket. It could be so. And it's just the fact you've got to keep on looking and keep searching. I don't know why it took me this long to find out what it was. Depersonalization, derealization. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
It's,
Or is that
it's
what the say diagnosis is, if that's the right word?
yeah. It's your anxiety levels reach such a high. You might be familiar with it in this context. When someone's been abused, especially sexual abuse, it's too painful to be in their own body, so they leave. Mentally, they leave, and they're just a shell. And they might, in other intimate relationships, they might be numb. They're like this, like they're not present, and they're just like it's like that. You literally leave your body, and when you listen to some of these young guys talking about it, they've done podcasts, and even they struggle to explain what it is now. They're trying to explain it, but every single symptom they're talking about, I'm thinking, yep. It's never too late for you to learn. And I'm not angry that I've only found out now. I'm thinking there's a reason why I've only found out now, because it helps me to help others to realize there's an answer. You might not know it.
But a
Also,
lot of the
sorry, go on.
sorry, Chris. A lot of the time, even though we know what we're going through, sometimes we understand it much later in life. But we need that time to go through other things, learn other lessons, before we actually come to the crossroad of saying, "Oh my God, this is what I was going through." But hang on, I've gone through all this, and now I understand this so much better, and I can go and do what I now or what I want to do now. Does that make sense? When you go on that spiritual of self-discovery, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. Well, You know what? It's quite funny. Yeah, it is dissociation. It is a form of dissociation. It's just many years ago, and again, this is you're talking about the spiritual things. I remember I went to a medium, a famous medium in Cyprus who works with the stars and stuff, and she told me some profound things and all that. And she said to me, she was talking about lifetimes, different lifetimes. It said to me, this is your last one. She goes to me, you've had loads. And I remember thinking, oh, you know what? I don't feel like if I'd have loads, I surely I'd have been a bit in a better place than I am now. You know what I mean? I was a bit, and it's this recent thing has made me think. It's taken a long time for me to kind of like almost deny or not to. I'd stopped doing the things that were right for myself to nurture myself, and I was surviving off a previous enlightened moment, thinking I had it sussed, and I had to kind of trip. And now it is almost like, okay, the key is, like you said, is about tripping. People tripping, but well, you've got to question why you've tripped and what it's trying to tell you and what it is that you've got to do from this point forward. And it's I just feel like it's now my duty to pass that on, but also to look after myself,
Mm.
to everybody who works with young people, you have to look after yourself. You have to, or to give them the best. You got to try and be in your optimum self, and I've learned the hard way once again, but
Yeah.
but I'm back.
Yay.
It's like drip.
But
Gone.
even when you say look at yourself, like being in the gym just before this,
Well,
would you say that counts towards what you're talking about, or is it
it
more?
does because when I was younger and I went through a bout of something, I gave up everything because this dissociation, that condition, it makes everything around you that seemed normal suddenly feel like it's weird. It's like you left. So I gave up things. I was part of really good football teams and flying, and I got about and I would step away from it and no one would see me again. I gave things up. This time round, I'm thinking, it's obviously like it's a spiral, right? Life's a spiral. You go around and you experience similar things, but this time round, I've done a lot of work. I've got a lot of tools on me. It felt like I was struggling, but this time round, I've pushed myself. Well, what harm can it do to go to the gym? It's not going to do. So I have been forcing myself to do stuff
Yeah.
because I was doing it before. So yeah, doing that. But I tell you what's really, and again, I'm talking about my life's work is I've now assembled a list of skills that have consciously and 100% got me out of a hole. I've got me out of the hole, all of them, and the things that I've made myself do, like walking regularly, and people going about spend time in nature. It works. It just works. It's the one thing that you can do that you don't need to do anything. Just be in it, and something happens at a cellular level, right? I've the whole thing about surround yourself with positive people. For me, that's bullshit. You surround yourself with people who are willing to, who don't judge you and understand you. Sometimes a positive person can be like, they're trying to be positive, but they're not really not helping. You surround yourself with the people that can nurture you. And this time round, with this new look, I've been aware of it. I've been like, right, I want that person. I want that person. I want that group. I need these people to be close to me. And I told them, I need you around, so
Do you know,
these are the, go on.
sorry, going back to what you're saying about surrounding yourself with positive people, is when you spoke about disassociation and me not knowing much about, wondering whether we wear masks so that we will put our best self forward, and we can learn how to be positive. We learn all the buzzwords about being positive. So when we say, positive people, can you hear me all right?
Hold on 1 minute. It keeps cutting out for some reason. Let me turn the Bluetooth off.
Can you hear me, Nalini?
I think
Yep, I can hear now.
When you say surround yourself with positive people, you might not even be surrounding yourself with someone who is genuine and authentic. You could be surrounding yourself with someone or people that know the buzzwords. They know all the catchphrases, all the things to say to present as though they're positive, but they're not giving in anything of themselves for you to really understand what's your story. What got you from there to here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's you know why that's even more evident these days is because the campaigns about to listen to someone and mental health first aid weekend courses, and people mean well. So there's people who people reached out to me in the past and said, "Do you need a space to talk and all that?" And they're doing it. They're textbook helpers. They're trying to understand, but there's very few people. There's very few people who would really. Well, there's nobody who will understand everything. Nobody. There's nobody who's gonna understand everything. I'm never gonna know what it's gonna be like to be you guys, right? Completely, it's impossible. But I think it's surrounding myself with people who is what I sell you is not going to be too much for you, and I feel that in my heart that you might just see beyond it and think he's just in his head too much at the moment. That's it. And not give me advice, because ultimately, right? You know what it comes down to? When I was a child and I went through this, I told nobody. What would have soothed it would have been just a hug.
Right.
It would have been just that. It would have been someone to have just said, "Look, it's going to be all right." So that's what you're surrounding yourself with. You're surrounding yourself with people who they're not actually hugging you, but maybe with words, with their eyes, with the space they're providing, with their non-judgment, they're hugging you.
Yeah.
They're hugging you. They're not. They don't want to try and they don't want to try and be Mr. Magician and or Mrs. or and that it's that. And I'm lucky because I've assembled. I know people that I can go to for that. In fact, I'm doing it now, right? I wouldn't have come on here if I didn't think you guys were unsafe.
Yeah.
If I thought this was people just trying to get popular, but so it's and these are the things that I want to actually. These are the things that I really want to pass on now, because there are still too many people who feel isolated and think it's just them, and people need to hear it. People need to hear it, and
People don't talk about pain. It's easier to mask it, like Kemi said earlier. It's to put that facade on and just get on with it. That smile just masks everything. But the real pain, and like you said, when you surround yourself with those real people that have the ability to hug you in many different ways, that is your core. That's your support network. I have people in my life that I go knock on their door and say, I just need a hug. And literally, and that's what they do for me. No questions asked, nothing. It's a warm welcome. It's a big, tight hug. I am here for you.
How big is that? How big is that?
It's huge. It's big enough to bring you down on your knees and just cry. I mean, sometimes that's all you need.
I think it's scientifically proven about the value and the importance of hugging and what it does to our mental health in terms of the dopamines and endorphins and all the things all the chemicals that it releases just by having that physical contact. And it's funny you're saying this, because it was last week I was in my children's school. We had like a little parent tea thing, which I never usually go to. But this day I thought, you know what, I've got a bit of time. I'm going to go. And I said, it's really important that we hug our children. And the response in the room it wasn't a resounding, yeah, I always hug my kids. Yeah, I know that. I always do that. It did feel like a little bit of, And I think we take it for granted. We don't realise, like, just to give our, and I know, Chris, you've got older kids as well, haven't you?
Me, yeah.
Would they
Yeah.
receptive? Are they receptive to a hug?
Um, yeah, I guess two of them. One, I want to hug more, and I have to make a thing of it. I had to introduce my dad to hugging. I had to teach my dad because he struggled
Yeah.
with it.
Mm.
I had to teach my dad that I used to be a barber, and one of my staff, every time his dad used to come into the shop, he's much younger than me, he used to kiss his dad. Two kisses. They're Iranian, right? We do that as well. Two kisses. Greeks do that. And I used to see it, and I used to think, I want to do that. So I said to my dad, "Listen, every time I see you, I'm going to kiss you now." And it was odd for a bit until it became not odd, and
Mm.
now it's a normal thing. And I look at that and I think to myself, man, I've done
Yeah.
that. I've done,
Yeah, absolutely. When I
you
first,
know.
yeah, when I first came, the culture here isn't hugging. Like I knew, I felt that 20 years ago when I first came to this country and met people in my life at that time. They weren't huggers, right?
Mm.
I remember hugging this particular auntie for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to do that again. It was like hugging a freezer. It was so cold.
Well,
And,
yeah, sorry, go on. I don't want to cut
right.
you off. Go on.
Right. And I was like, this is weird. But 20 years later, she was the best hugger I knew. She would hug you with all her heart and soul. And that's so, and like you said, Chris, right? I did that, right? And it felt so nice to know that I left a piece of me with her.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
One of
Like,
the comments that people are afraid to show emotion. We say this in one of our in our sessions. When we're talking about boundaries, we set a scenario that your aunties come over. So when this is like a relative, your auntie or a relative has come over, and they're doing the whole, "Oh, Nalini, I haven't seen you for a while. Oh, look at you! Look at how you've grown. Come and give your auntie a hug." And the room is split between the women that are like the girls that are like, "No, my auntie. I'm not hugging a relative. I'm not hugging," and that is their boundary.
yeah,
They
It's
yeah,
it's
boundary.
really tough.
I don't want to. It makes me feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's
yeah.
uneasy. Or no,
Mm.
and you've got. It's a minority, isn't it? Would you say, Nalini, of the ones that would say, "Yeah, I'm all right with that."
Yeah, absolutely. Kemi, my battery's going to go too. With my kids now, I never force them to hug anybody.
Mm.
I think Chris's battery's gone.
Yeah.
He said his battery was going. Mine's on 10%. I'm really sorry. And now I'm like, no. If my children don't want to hug you, they don't have to hug you. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Or when I was younger, when I first became a parent, I'd be offended. I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to hug her? Oh,
Yeah.
you
Give
know.
you
Now,
up.
yeah, that's right. But now I'm very much no. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hugging is that's your personal space. You can invite who you want in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it'd be quite interesting to see if we can communicate the value of giving them a hug, like the value of there is value if you feel comfortable with somebody, if you feel comfortable with your mum, your dad, your your carer, your auntie, your uncle, whatever it is, then you can invite and cultivate that physical contact and that hugging.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's also who you are as a person as well.
Mm.
So for me, I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
That knows me knows that I love hugging. Like it's my
Yeah.
love language.
Yeah.
Right.
But we think about what Chris had said.
Mm.
He was the initiator,
Yes.
but his dad wasn't
Mm.
the. So does it depend on the kind of person you are, or does it depend on how do you want to show express your emotion and the value you have for that person.
Okay, so I grew up not so much in Singapore, but in Australia. Like my aunts, my uncles, I used to hug family all the time. Like my brothers are amazing when it comes to hugs. Like, oh my God, one of the best. So I learned from home
Yeah.
that was our language that we spoke. But like Chris, my dad's old school. So my dad's not somebody that I go hug all the time, whereas my mom is. I hug my daddy and he does this, you know. It's like, oh, it's like slightly uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't care. Get over it. Right? So with my kids, I always hug.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just practice, right, Kemi? It's just what you want. It's like that auntie that I said, you know, when I met her 20 years ago, like, oh my God, she was not one for hugging at all. You know? But now, like, oh, she'd give you the best hugs. You know,
Yeah.
Son would say to me all the time, like, you're the reason for that.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, so it's nice to know that I've left them with a piece of me. You know, but anyway, yeah, it's yeah. I guess when we're thinking of therapy,
Yeah, going back to
yeah,
therapy.
I think hugging is a great therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but you said you said something along the lines of scientifically proven, right? So what I read some time ago, actually, is when you hug. So if you're giving somebody a hug who is in distress, right? And I mean a child, yeah, because it's really, this would be awkward to do it to an adult, but a child, to place them on your heart and hug them, right? So the sound of your heartbeat actually soothes them, and they calm down.
Oh.
And I read this somewhere some time ago, and I was like, oh. And then when I tried it on a friend of mine who is much taller than I am, and then I hugged him for the first time, I was like, oh, I said, just stay there, Mike. Just stay there. And I'm like, oh, I feel better now. Thank you. Thanks. Whenever I need a hug like that, I said, coming back to you. I said, because that actually worked.
I'm gonna look it up. I think when we come back next week, I'm gonna find out how many hugs it was, because there's actually like a number of hugs that we should be receiving in a day to maximize that, to be at that mental health and well-being kind of maximum.
I don't think it's a number of hugs. I think it's almost like 1 minute or 30 seconds. Like when
really?
you and you've got to hug and you've got to stay there for a certain period of time for that for the hormones to kick in.
Okay, well, if anyone knows the answer to this, how many or how long the hugs, how many,
Yeah.
anyone can share any information about the hugs, the gift of hugs, please DM us, put it in the comments in the on our Instagram page. We'd be great. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's funny when Chris was saying nature is a great form of therapy as well.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I don't have artificial grass in my garden, but when I did have normal grass, I used to love going and standing on it barefoot. Right.
Oh.
And that in itself would help soothe the body. Right. But also hugging trees.
I don't think I've ever done that. I can't see that I'd like that. Really? Is it all right? I find that's a bit...
I do. I trees all the time. Right. But I'm very...
feet in sand, nature. That sounds good.
Not sand, grass.
Yeah, but I like the sand. I like the idea of sand and beach, and yeah, that's nice. Don't know
Okay.
if the grass would do it for me. Same effect.
All right. Whatever tickles your fancy, okay? You go carry on and you go and feet in some sand and some water. But hugging a tree. So even hugging a tree. So this is something that I learned recently. And the whole idea is you hug the tree, but you put your forehead on the trees. So usually when I hug with my cheek on the trunk, on the tree, right? Apparently not. You put your forehead, you rest your forehead on it, and that apparently does something different.
Yeah, this isn't really. I'm like, yeah, like you can go to the forest and hug a tree. I'll probably want to go to like Selfridges and hug an expensive bag. See, I want to see what that does. Smell the leather. I have a different, maybe the same effect that the tree gives you. I will get that. On that
Therapy comes in.
therapy, we've got nature therapy, but it's all therapy.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was driving down some country lanes coming into work today, and I was like, "Oh, that would have been a really nice tree to hug," but never mind.
And I'm like, take me to the motorway. I can't do the country lanes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, it's part of the reason I drive through country lanes. It's just for me. It's just I think it's detaching myself from the hustle and bustle of life and just being with nature. Even though I'm sitting in my car driving somewhere with my music blaring, it's like I'm still in my space, my happy place.
Yeah. And I think that we all need to find our happy place, wherever that is, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Hollywood. Is that right? Have I said that right? That's so cool. I would love to have a hug and sit down with you ladies. Oh, virtual hug. Sending the virtual hugs.
All right. Okay. So what are you thinking? What's your overall conclusion of therapy?
I think it's a good thing. It should be. I think it comes in all shapes and forms. It's not just talking therapy. There's all sorts of different therapy. I think we should start it from like babies and doing massage therapy and all these other sorts of things that we can do with our children and just keep on making sure that our family's open to it.
Yeah.
And not treating it as it's something you do when something is wrong.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We do it as a preventative intervention to maintain good health, mental health, emotional health.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's healthy. I think it's healthy for anybody, and even couples, right?
Like couple
therapy. That's right. I think it's so important because I think if you, and again, I think honestly, Kemi, I think it really does go back down to the connection of how connected are you to yourself, right? And the more connected we are to ourselves, the more we're able to express from a safe place, to be right. A lot of the times, I think what happens with men and women, not being, because we don't feel safe, so therefore we aren't vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when you block everything and you start breaking down, and you break down silently, and then that has its effects on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think it's fair for us to say, find the thing that you find most therapeutic for yourself, for your family, for your partner, for your friends, and use that thing to connect you together.
Mm.
Actually do that with each other.
Mm.
You know, even if you're not the hugger, the fact that you know that the person you're with appreciates the hug is you're adding value, you're gifting, you're giving them something. You might not be the nature person, but the fact that you can be that companion with a friend that wants to go and hug a tree is the gift that, you know, you're giving to that person to improve their health.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you want to like come selfridges with me, and we don't have to buy the bag because we probably couldn't afford it, but we could go upstairs and have some cocktails while we're there.
Yes, yes,
So much
definitely.
to do in a
There's just not enough hours of the day.
shop. There's so much to do, and you don't have to spend a lot of money. Someone pull the
No. How about we just go to Harrods and go get some tea and scones and cream with jam?
Oh, that sounds like a good idea as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah,
There's so much you can do that's therapeutic.
yeah, absolutely. And Chris is right. Well, Chris is right. With surround yourself with people that lift you up. And it's not lifting you up because, oh my God, darling, tell me your problems. Let me solve it for you. No, it's not that, dude. I just want you to sit there and laugh at absolutely nothing with me. And
yeah. And we don't have to solve each other's problems. It's just because you've shared something of yourself or you've given up, it doesn't mean that we've got to have the solution or the answers. Just being a listening ear can make
that's,
a difference.
yeah,
All
that's it. Yes.
difference.
Yeah, I'm here. Just call me.
Talk, cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Sometimes you've just got to look at it that way. That you need a friend to just a hug or a laugh to or just vent at, vent to rather, not at, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that wraps us up for today. Well, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for listening. Those of you that popped in, Hollywood that shared in the chat as well. And thank you, Chris. And hopefully we'll see you next week at 8:00.
Yes, we will. I'll see you
All right.
soon.
Bye
Bye.
all.
Good night.